Here's my review of WWE Summerslam 2024. Now, this was a really good show, possibly their best of the year. I think WrestleMania might still be a little bit higher, but nonetheless, a great show all the way around. Some people weren't too big fans of Nia Jax and Bayley or the main event, but I was. I really enjoyed every match here, but I'm going to go through each and every one, starting with the opener, Liv Morgan defending against Rhea Bloody Ripley. This was a 15-minute match that felt like it was 9 minutes and took all those 15 to 16 minutes and used them spectacularly. It wasn't the best match on the show or anything, but it told a great story, with Rhea being very angry at Liv, even though Liv dislocated her shoulder, so Rhea couldn't dish out as much damage as she wanted to, but Rhea jammed it back in and kept on beating Liv up. Now, at one point, Rhea was about to bash Liv in the back with the chair, but Dominik stopped her and was like, "Oh no, you'll get disqualified, don't do that." And Rhea's like, "All right, fine, I'm mad at you for that, but okay, sure." And she turned right around into oblivion, but she kicked out at 2. And Dom's like, "Oh, okay, good job, wink." And then later on, Dominik threw the chair into the ring, distracted the referee, allowing Liv Morgan to hit Oblivion again, but onto the chair this time, and Liv won the match, retaining her title. Afterwards, people were like, "Oh no, Dom cost Rhea on accident." Wink, because actually Dom has been working with Liv this entire time. They shared a kiss after the match as Rhea looked on in shock and anger. This is going to be a great storyline to continue on Monday, or today, I guess. So we will see what happens there. Not today. Feels like a Sunday, but nonetheless. Let's move on to the second match of the show, which is Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. This was a very short match. I honestly think it should have been shorter. However, we did see Sami Zayn fight back valiantly, but eventually get dethroned in about 6 minutes by Braun Breaker. This definitely needed to be what happened. Braun Breaker needed to win this match. Losing at Money in the Bank kind of derailed him a little bit, but this should get him back on track as to be a great main event talent in the years to come. Sami looked fine, but now you can push him into more of that world title scene that a lot of people want to see him in. I'm not the biggest fan of Sami. I think he's good, but not incredible or anything. But I wouldn't mind seeing him up there because, he's got the charisma, he's got the in-ring ability. But he did lose this match in the IC title along the way. Then we got to the United States Championship match in my personal favorite match of the night, where L.A. Knight, beat Logan Paul in about 12 minutes. This match had a lot of celebrity interference, with MGK being there and Machine Gun Kelly at ringside to give Logan the brass knuckles as his 2 goons were dealt with by LA early on. Now, the match was 12 minutes long, but there was a lot of pre-match shenanigans that happened as both men brawled and fought each other on top of the announce table around the ring, and LA, of course, beating up those 2 goons. Eventually, when they did get into the ring, they had a very entertaining match with really nothing going wrong. We had LA looking great, Logan selling really well, and there was a bit of a scary moment about halfway through the match, but otherwise it looked incredible. They were going for a superplex on the top rope, and normally when you do a superplex, you want to make sure that both people are laying out straight, but instead, Logan didn't rotate fully, so he was more like this, but at the very last second, started to stretch himself out a bit more, so it was a modified brainbuster of sorts rather than something that would have smushed him together like a stapler. So lucky for him, that didn't happen, but nonetheless, LA Knight did win the title after those 12 minutes with a BFT countering the Buckshot Lariat. Very entertaining, very fun, definitely my match of the night. Then we move on to Nia Jax versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. This was a lot of people's least favorite match of the night other than the main event, but I actually think it was a very entertaining match. It was exactly what needed to happen. We saw Bayley lose the title after a very hard-fought match after 2 Annihilators back-to-back, following 2 power bombs back-to-back. So, it's not like she was pinned with a roll-up or anything. Tiffany Stratton did come in and try and tease her Money in the Bank cash-in, but it was all a plan with Nia to set up for that, haha, we were working together to make Nia the champion, so we can be friends and I can be friends with the champion. Yippee! So eventually that did lead to Bayley's downfall, but it was an entertaining match, nothing too interesting or spectacular, rather other than Bayley holding up Nia Jax in a powerbomb for like 6 seconds, which is insanely impressive for someone the size of Bayley relative to the size of Nia Jax. So great job for that, but otherwise nothing too special here, just 2 people having a very good match. Very good, very decent match. That's a better way to put it. Then we move on to the singles match between Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk. Now you might be saying, Seth Rollins wasn't part of that match. Yeah, he basically was. He was basically a third member who just couldn't win the match. So Seth Rollins is the special guest referee here, but he was engaging in oh so many shenanigans throughout the match that it felt like he was part of the match as a whole. Now, Drew and Punk really did hate each other. Now, I do think this match could have been better. I do think there were a few things that didn't really make any sense or didn't fit really well. Like, the end of the match is based on three men fighting over a bracelet. And that's the whole finish of the match. However, otherwise, it is a very hard-fought battle. Yes, they're going for pinfalls a little too much for people who want to kill each other. I don't think there was any blood. Maybe there's a little bit, but there was not enough blood at the very least. Now, maybe they could be saving that for Berlin or Bash in, or the Bad Blood. Goodness gracious, I'm tripping out here. And I do think that the match probably needed blood. However, I'm not saying that that was just a full-on negative. Now, CM Punk did end up hitting Seth Rollins with that GTS, which took him out of the equation once Drew McIntyre had the advantage and had the victory. It also, in the opposite sense, CM Punk did something again, causing him to miss a roll-up on Drew, which could have gave Punk the win, but Drew did end up winning with a Claymore after Seth was distracted for a minute. Claymore, and then Seth crawled all the way over to get the 3 count. This was a very entertaining match. It could have been much better. However, I'm not mad because you can keep this feud going until WrestleMania if you want to. Then we move on to the penultimate match of the night, which was Gunther defeating Damien Priest by referee's decision for the World Heavyweight Championship and a title change once again. As I said, this is the 4th title change on the show, a very high number for a Triple H booked show. However, I'm not surprised as he does have that big show finish. Well, anyways, this is a very fun match. It's very bloody and very violent, but it's an entertaining one at that. There are a lot of chops and hard strikes and beatdowns throughout this that are very hardcore, and it's a very interesting match to watch because you see a guy who is trying to become a more main event talent in Damien and a guy who's really already up there in Gunther. And Finn Balor did end up turning on Damien Priest here, costing him the match by putting Gunther's foot on the ropes. Damien didn't notice it first, but then when he saw the replay on the Tron, was like, oh, why'd you do that? Tried to attack Finn, but Gunther snuck up from behind with a sleeper hold, and Damien passed out, allowing Gunther to win the title. This is the full breakup of the Judgment Day. Now you have Dom breaking off from Rhea and Finn breaking off from Damien. This leaves Rhea and Damien as your faces and Dom and Finn as your heels. Do you keep them together? Most likely there's probably going to be a couple singles matches, maybe a tag team match between the pair of them. But nonetheless, this is a very fun one here. I did enjoy this. I don't think it's not my exact style that I enjoy. However, I do think as a guy who prefers more Shawn Michaels-esque wrestling, as I've said previously, this was still a very good match to watch. And I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just saying not exactly my style. Still a really good match. Probably the second best match of the night. Then we move on to the main event, which was maybe the worst match of the night, but the ending does kind of save it, where Cody Rhodes defeated Solo Sikoa in a Bloodline Rules match after approximately 30 minutes. And I might think, 30 minutes? Oh my, that's a slog. That's a bit of a long match, hey? Honestly, I think Solo kept his pace. A lot of people have been clowning on Solo, like, oh, he's not the real tribal chief. He can't wrestle. He's a noob. And, like, yeah, he's not Roman. He's not Jimmy. He's not Jay. He's not, etc. But he is still a good wrestler when he has those quality opponents. For example, he operates in the opposite way of how Randy Orton operates. Randy Orton works to the level of the people he has a match with. Like, if he has a match with somebody bad, he will work, like, above at, like, fine. If he has a match with somebody good, he will work good to great. If he has a match with somebody really good, he'll work great to incredible, and so on and so forth. Solo operates inversely, whereas if he, as a good, I guess, wrestler, has a quality opponent, he bumps up. But it's not because of him who is gaining his ability. It's because the other performer is making him look good. Whereas Randy is just powering himself up like a hop up or something, or a mushroom in Mario. But nonetheless, this is a pretty decent match. I don't think it's incredible or anything. It's probably the worst match of the night. You can argue Nia and Bayley, but otherwise, not incredible. But we did see the return of our tribal chief still, Roman Reigns, at the very end of the match. He came out, immediately was on Cody Rhodes' side. Superman punch and a spear to Solo Sikoa took down the new tribal chief, which allowed Cody Rhodes to sneak up and hit a crossroads and win the match. Roman slightly acknowledged Cody, gave him a nice little nod, and walked away, allowing Cody to get this win. And left, probably we will see something for him on Raw or SmackDown, most likely SmackDown. But nonetheless, this was a very good way to end the show as a whole, following a pretty good match altogether. Solo, I would like to mention, he had a lot of nice things in this match. I think, the rest of the Bloodline who did come in and interfere on his behalf did also add to the match as well. But I do think Solo, just as a singles performer, he's not getting as many flowers as he should be getting. I don't think, it should be, the levels of Danielson or anything, but he's regarded as like, oh, he sucks. I don't think it's that. I think it's that he can use some work, but is still pretty good nonetheless. So that is the entire show. Now, there was one other segment that I did forget to mention. Now, Jelly Roll had a segment with The Miz and R-Truth. A-Town Down Under came out and was like, haha, the people in Cleveland suck. So Jelly Roll proceeded to attack Grayson Waller and Austin Theory with a chair, and also give Austin Theory a chokeslam and a 5-knuckle shuffle. Silly shenanigans. It's nothing to, be incredible or anything. It was a pretty good chokeslam, but otherwise, nothing too special here. And all in all, this was a really good show all around. Every match was at least, at minimum, good or okay, with those being Bayley and the Cody match. And otherwise, almost every match was great or above, being like 3.5 to 4 stars. And you can even argue a little higher for things like Logan in LA and Gunther and Damien. But we will see how things pan out for you if you haven't watched the show yet, or if you did, let me know what you think down in those comments down below. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good desk, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes on this channel. And goodbye.